Jeff Slauson here from 19 News Now at the 19 News Digital Desk. For those that are preparing to come downtown for the Cleveland Guardians game this weekend or just trying to hang out here, if you've been coming downtown, you may have noticed some potential changes in parking and the parking cost. Well, a new study that was recently done shows that you're right. And you're not crazy. The increase in parking is very much so real. This is done by the Cushman and Wakefield Cresco Real Estate Agency. They did a parking study. They did it in 2018, did it again this year to kind of show the comparisons for it. And while more people are actually leaving the downtown area, or at least doing a hybrid type of a work schedule, so they're parking less downtown, the cost has gone up. So the demand has gone down and the cost has gone up. That's the opposite of what we would typically see in this. 29% increase in average hourly rate between 2018 and 2024. That went from $7 an hour to about $9.75 an hour. 27% increase in monthly rate. We lost 22% of mostly full parking lots, and 4% of total parking lots went away. So a fairly decent decrease in the amount of lots that we saw, but also in the usage, it's gone down as well. So we spoke earlier today with George Pofik, who's a research analyst with Cushman and Wakefield about this. Kind of broke down exactly what you need to know, where you potentially can find the deals, and also how you should handle coming downtown. But before we get to that, I just want to show you really quickly. They released a map, which we actually have on our website at cleveland19.com, where you can click each individual parking space. So let's say that you're like, oh, maybe I want to park right here at 106. It will show you and break down for you the cost of parking there. So before you come downtown, you can plan how much you want to spend on parking. A pretty nifty tool. Again, that is currently linked on our website at cleveland19.com. You hit the article that is titled Downtown Cleveland Parking Study, and you will find this map right in that article. A really handy tool, especially if you're planning on coming downtown this weekend for the Guardians game. Again, we're going to get to this interview now. A really interesting interview about how parking has really changed over the last few years and how much you should be willing to spend. Just to start off here, this study showing some pretty interesting stuff with parking. I've noticed it over the past few years, but you need to see the concrete evidence, right, of exactly what the actual cost is. So kind of give the elevator pitch on what the findings were from looking at parking for the past couple of years compared to today.
Yeah, so the last time the study was done was 2018, and in those 6 years, there has been about 5 parking lots lost that we don't track anymore due to Sherwin-Williams taking over those lots and building their own. But there are also some old lots phased out and some new lots phased in, and in that time, it has accounted for more vacant parking spots but higher prices.
How does that work when we have more vacant spots, but it's costing more? I feel like many people would look at that and say, okay, if there's more vacant spots, that means I should be able to park cheaper, right?
Yeah, I mean, you'd think, but there's inflation, obviously, and then in those 6 years, downtown Cleveland has done a good job at transitioning some of those empty office spaces into new apartments, and that has caused, a kind of resurgence in parking downtown because people live down there, so they need to park somewhere.
When you do look at the areas that are seeing some of the most increases, are there ones that are sticking out in particular?
Yeah. So we call it the Civic Center area, but that's mostly around Public Square, just because that's where a lot of the hustle and bustle of downtown is, as well as the Gateway District, which is over by Tower City, so that they usually get the most occupancy, the most people park there, and they're nicer lots. They're usually garages that can fit a couple hundred people.
And they're more affordable, or is it similarly priced to the other spots?
They're a little bit more expensive, but a good thing about parking downtown is that if you're going to be there, you can pay for monthly parking, which will drop that average price down.
And this doesn't look at event pricing, right?
This is not event pricing. Event pricing, it typically depends on where you are, but it can go from anywhere from $40 to $100.
Yeah, that's obviously a large reason why we're doing this story now. We're having the Guardians playoff start.
Yep.
2016, there were some lots that were in the hundreds around there for the World Series. So people trying to find potentially a little bit cheaper of a rate. Obviously, again, event parking can make things different, but very good for them to know. They vary depending on where you are, right?
It definitely varies depending on where you are. And if you're willing to walk, there are some nice, cheaper parking lots that are 10 to 15 minutes away. So if you're willing to walk, you can pay a cheaper price. But if you do just want to stay close, you're going to have to pay a premium.
As we do look at these numbers, you've looked at the projections, obviously, from what we've seen, at least based on what you're seeing there. Is there an anticipation that these numbers are going to continue to go up?
I think so. Because more people come back into downtown, hopefully over the next couple of years. So we hope to run the study again in 2 years, so 2026. And I expect a small increase, not as drastic as this one. This one prices went up by up to 30%. I'd expect to see anywhere from 5 to 10%, which all things considered is not bad. I would push it to about, $10 to $15 a day, but we hope that it can stay low. But there is uh, a new the taxes, the triannual tax or the taxes that come out every 3 years are going to increase those prices, and those roll out next year.
Yeah, so from the reassessments and all of that, that's going to start to funnel and feed into this, right?
Yeah, yeah. So those prices that will affect the prices, and like I said, I expect about 5 to 10% increase.
The last question that I have for you, we have events coming this weekend. We have people that are looking to park. We have people over there. You're saying that there are spots available, right? So is the general idea here, based off of the numbers that you have, if you're not finding a price you like or open spots that you potentially like, they're there. You just got to drive a little bit more for it. Is that the best kind of advice you'd give somebody?
Yeah, yeah. And, if you have the time, walking is always an option. You could walk, I mean, up to 10 to 15 minutes to get, $10 parking, which can save you money in the long run. But there are 123 parking lots, public parking lots that we track in that central business district, which means that you'll find parking somewhere.
Yeah, and that's the key, right? You're going to find a place somewhere. It's just for what your expense is. Again, go to our website right now, cleveland19.com. You will find this map that is created to us, was created for everybody, courtesy of George, you just heard from there. Breaks down the pricing so you can plan ahead. Click on the certain spots, plan ahead before you come downtown. Again, event parking is not included in that. So obviously you're going to anticipate some to be more expensive for events, but still a fantastic tool to have. We're going to be covering this and the other stories of the day tonight on 19 News, starting of course at 3 o'clock over on CBS for 3.5 hours of nonstop news. We will see everybody there. For now, I'm Jeff Slauson with 19 News. Have a great day and a great night.
19 News, now streaming on Samsung Smart TV. Search for channel 1035.